Okay, guys. So who who of you who are interested in the coding in Firebase, we can now try to play with it. And what we can do is that we are going to do some kind of 90s style chat. Think something like XChat or something like that. So it would be cool if you all join me with coding. And we can all coding with the same Firebase, and then we can chat together. So it would be great. And it should take us like 15 minutes. And if you all join me, we can then play with the cool feature of Firebase, which is the offline thing. So we should be able to send messages when you're offline. And once you go online, it should automatically synchronize your messages in your simulator to the Firebase. So this is what is the real real magic happening with Firebase. So if you are ready, we can start. Let's start with Xcode project. Let's call it Firebase chat. It will be in Swift. Are you all familiar with Swift?
Nope.
Nope.
I'll give it a try.
It's easy, don't worry. So yeah, we are in our main storyboard, and we will use table view controller for our chat. Let's put it inside the navigation controller. And of course, we need two things. We need to show the messages from the server, and we need to have ability to add some message. So for the adding message, we will use UI text field, and let's put it right here. So it's a great, innovative UI thing here. And for the messages we already have, we will use table view. So let's use this predefined cell with title and subtitle because it's okay for now. It should be 90s style, so it's okay. Yeah. So we need a class for our table view controller. In Swift. And of course, don't forget to assign this class here. Good. We will start with putting or generating our messages and saving them to Firebase. And then I will talk about it a bit, and then we learn how to observe this Firebase and how to present these messages we already have. So we will do it the way that we use this text field, assign a delegate to the text field, which will be our table view controller. And we basically we will be waiting for user to hit the finish button or the done button. And when he hits the done button on the keyboard, we will very easily send the message to the Firebase. So let's implement the delegate method. And the method we want is should text field should return. Cool. But of course, how we send the message to Firebase? We need our Firebase references. So let's do it. Let's call it Firebase. And the initial method is very simple. It's Firebase. and the only parameter is URL of your Firebase repository. We don't have one, so let's create a new one. And you don't have to do this. I will create the one for us all so we can communicate together. Yeah. So we will use the address strv slash polmuchka chat dot firebase.io.com. strv chat firebase.io.com. Let's check if it's okay. Yeah, it should be okay. So this is what creates our Firebase reference. And of course, we can do some more setup here, but we don't need it now. So let's just return Firebase, and that's how we initialize this lazy property. As Dominic already said, it's a non-related document-based database, which is, for me, it's like a big fancy word for one big JSON. So I like to approach it as a big JSON. And what's cool about Firebase is that it's very easy. So I will write some lines here, and then I will explain what's going on. So I will use my Firebase reference. I will explain this later. I just want to show you what happened. And basically, if I'm not wrong, this should be, yeah, this should be all what we need to write something to Firebase. So let's test it. Oh no, this one. I forgot to set my initial view controller. Yeah, now it will be better. So basically now, when I hit return, we should see a new object here. You can see it. And what happened then, it uses this auto-generated ID, and under this ID, it put object. Basically, it's a simple JSON. It's a dictionary from iOS side of view, saying text, ahoy. And what I wanted to show you is that you can go deeper in this object. And you can see that you can approach this object just by using this URL. And you can go, again, you can go deeper. And we are now in text. And this is very, very important, because this is how you then later will add observers to the value. So it means that when you are interested in some part of this object, you don't have to observe the whole object, because it could be huge. So you just choose the part you want to observe, you are interested in, for example, based on your user ID, or it depends. And you set observer just on this part of URL you are interested in. So this is our base URL. This is what our Firebase reference is handling. And we are adding this part of URL. And this is where we, let's say, when we setting up the URL or the structure of the object. This method, child by auto ID, is a method which generates automatically unique ID within the Firebase, so you don't have to manage it by yourself. What's cool about this method is that it works even when you're offline. So you always have the same order of the object in the database, even when you're offline. So you can then synchronize it later, but the order will still be keep, which is good. So I would recommend to use it. It works kind of like a timestamp. So this child byte auto ID adds this part of URL, and then we set value, which is a simple dictionary, text, and some value. Yeah, so let's build some message. Of course, to have message, we need some name. So my name is Vojta. I suppose your name is different. So please add your name. And then we will compose the message object, which would contain from name, which would be the name property, and then some text, which would be the text from text field. Of course, we should test first if there is some text. So let's add this check here. So if we have some text, we will create a new message. We will save it to Firebase. That's this line. And then, of course, we want to delete the old text in the text field. And, of course, we want to reassign the first responder to hide the keyboard. So this should be everything we need for creating a new messages. So let's check if it works. Let's go to the root of our Firebase repository. It's not working. Okay, again. Yeah. So I delete these old messages. Maybe I can delete everything. Yeah. Okay, let's try it. Yeah, it's there. We have first message from Vojta, and message is saying hello. And it's all done just by this one line where we set the method for the URL we want, or the part of object we want. Okay, let's now create the other part of our super 90s chat, and it will be the reading of messages. I'm sorry to say you that this will be the more complicated part, because we will need approximately like 3 lines of code for doing this. So don't be afraid. It's a bit more complicated, but I think we can do it. The mechanism how you can get some data from Firebase is based on observers. So basically, you choose the part of JSON of the object, of the imaginary JSON object, which you are interested in, and you set the observer on this part. And you get notified every time this part of the object is changed. It's so simple. So again, we will use our Firebase reference. And then we have to choose the part of the database we are interested in. Because now we are saving all our messages into root, we will use just this first part, that's this reference we have here, which refers to our root object. But for example, if you want to create, let's say, multiple rooms, you can then add slash, or you use this method, child by appending path, and here you can say, whoa, Lunatic, which was this cool 90s band. So yeah, and then you will reference, of course, to this URL on this part of Firebase object. But we are interested in just about our root object. The method we are looking for is called observe event type with block. So you can choose which event you are interested in. There are these types: child edit, child changed, child moved, child removed. We will use child edit because we are interested in a situation when there's a new message and we just want to show it. And here we have some block, or closure, which handles the event. The import parameter for
Okay.
oh, sorry.
When you look at it,
Yeah, because there's some keyboard trying to connect to the computer and it always froze. Who's doing it? So yeah, the input parameter for this closure is snapshot, and it's an object which describes some details about the change. But the snapshot has one interested or more interesting values, but the most interesting one is called value, I hope, because Xcode won't help me in this. You are used to it if you use Swift. And in this value is a dictionary, which contains the object related to this event. So in our case, when there's some object edit, we will get this object in this value property. And in our case, this object, of course, is this dictionary. So it has a name and text. So we will use it. To parse it or to use it, we will need some message object. So let's create it. And our message object will have, of course, two variables, name and the text of the message. And of course, we need initializer for the method. In our table view controller, we need array of the messages, which is the main array we will show in our table. Yeah. So now we can create a new message object from the value we have from our Firebase observer. We can do it like this now, but please don't try this at home because it's not like super nice and super safe. But yeah, we can do it now because we are pretty sure that there will be these values, and nothing should happen. Yeah, it looks like we're done. We give Xcode some time to check everything up. Okay, so now we have a new message object. So what we do is that we add this message object to our messages. And we don't want to we don't want the latest message to be on the bottom, so we want appended be just inserted on the index 0, which causes that the newest message will be always on the top. Come on. Is there?
You can do append and then reverse the array.
No, I did this, but I think it's, yeah, you know, it works. So I'll copy it. Yeah, thank you, Xcode. It's great.
Message after self.
Ah, sorry, thank you. Now it should be okay. It is. And of course, we want to reload our table view. Again, as I said, this is just an example, and we want to do it in 15 minutes. Of course, this is not the real world scenario. You should handle it more proper way. But basically, yeah, this is the 3 lines of code we need to parse the new messages from the server. And what's cool about Firebase is that once you start the app, the Firebase check if there are some old messages, and it will call this observer even for the old messages. So you have always all data you need. So you can be sure that the copy you have on the local is the same to what you have on the server. So the last part, okay, let's check if everything is okay. Yeah. And the last part should be basically connect our table view. So number of sections would be 1. Number of row should be messages.count. And yeah, I will delete this once. Yeah. And we will use this predefined standard Xcode cells. So I believe there are two labels. One it's called text label, yeah. And in text label, we will show the name. And there are detail text label. And we will show the text of the message itself. And that's all we need. And don't forget to use this identifier. Yeah, and I believe that's all we need. Maybe you notice that when I create a new message, I don't add it to our messages array, because Firebase do this for me. I just simply add it to Firebase, and this observer method we did will be called automatically. So let's check it.
Is that observer actually waiting for the server to respond, or is it internally?
Well, you know what's good about Firebase, that you don't have to care about this. And I like this magic. It just works. So okay, let's try it. Test, return. Yeah, it's there. And Kuba is hungry. Cool. So, nice. So yeah, it works. So that's all we need. These lines of code, 3 lines of code, and 1 line of code for adding a new message. And now what we can do is we can try to play around a bit with this. And let's say that I can test, I will test how it works when I'm offline. Hmm. Now I'm a bit afraid that when I turn it on, I will lose the AirPlay. But I'm not sure.
Can you simulate it in the hardware?
Yeah, maybe I would do it here. Maybe if I turn off the Wi-Fi here.
Or turn on the airplane mode, is it possible in simulator?
I think it doesn't work. I'm not really either.
And what?
Well, just try it.
Developer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it should work. So let's try it.
I think your Wi-Fi is still available.
Okay, we can see it here, if something happening or not. Yeah, it's still connected. But I think you can do it. So let me know if you are successful with offline test. Good? Good to go. So yeah, and what I'm going to do is now that I will kill the app, and I will start it again, and you will see that it will automatically load all the data from our server. And what's cool about Firebase now in the new SDK they have is that these data are now stored locally. So only the difference between data is fetched from the server, but the data you already have is stored locally, which is cool. Yeah, and all messages are there. So yeah, we did our 90s style chat in Firebase in, let's say, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And just imagine that you would have to do all this manually. It's a lot of work, and the Firebase handle all these situations when you are offline and you're adding a message and in this inconsistency between your local data and remote data. And all this is handled by Firebase. It's automatical. It's for free for development, and it's super easy to use. So yeah, let's use Firebase. Thank you.